Hi, my name is Jared Capachi. This is my service learning project community scan. The site that I served at was Strive for College, the Marina location. They work with Marina High School and also Monterey High School. The head of the organization's name is Ian Olden. He was also my site supervisor, and I worked with him at the Marina location back when school was in session. But now that the summer program was running, we had to utilize other facilities not at the Marina High School. Strive for College normally operates through the Marina High School campus. They work with the students during school as well as after school. The kids that are in the program are kids that are usually struggling academically, if not behaviorally as well. The program kind of works with the kids on a one-on-one level. We sit down with the kids and tutor them in each of their subjects, kind of talk to them about what's going on with them in their lives as well. Just seeing where they're at, seeing how they're feeling about school, seeing if they're feeling overloaded, seeing if they're feeling stressed out, and kind of just working towards trying to get them to get motivated in school, kind of getting them to look towards going to college and just getting an education for the future so that way they can be successful and do the things that they want to do. We like to ask the kids what their dreams are, what they want to be when they grow up, and kind of lead them in that direction and show them how they can utilize the resources around them to start to go the ways that they want to go and kind of personalize their education to them, even though they are still doing their general education right now. But as soon as they have the option to, once they start going to a four-year university, they can start taking classes that are personalized to the majors that they're going to have. The Strive for Summer program was actually located at the CSUMB gym as well as the Promontory gym due to the varying schedules and equipment availability. During the summer, the CSUMB gym had limited hours, and given some of the work schedules of the students and availability of transportation, we had to utilize two different gyms, both on CSUMB campus. The Promontory gym is located over in the on-campus housing. So we would get the students together in the gyms and walk with them through exercises and kind of show them how to properly perform exercises and show them the purpose of each exercise, what muscle group it worked, and then we went even deeper in showing them how they could personalize their training routines to their sports. So some of our athletes played football, and so we did a lot more power training with those athletes. One of them was actually a marathon runner, so we did a lot of endurance work with him, lightweight band work, a lot of weighted core work as well. And so Strive provided its students access to all these facilities, all the equipment that they utilized while they were there. They had water fountains that they could access, bathrooms. So it was a really good facility. And the kids kind of got their own version of personal training. So they got to pick and choose the exercises they wanted to do and communicate with me areas that they wanted to work, whether it was their abdominals or they wanted bigger biceps or stronger chest. We addressed all these things, and I showed them how they could address these things while still achieving an athletic purpose, while still being able to function in their sport, because most of their concern was that they wanted to lift the weights and everything in their off season, but they didn't want to come back too bulky to perform in their sport, because most of them were true athletes and planned on competing at a higher level, most likely in college or maybe even further on a professional career. These locations were also safe and easily accessible. The students got dropped off, so we made sure that we were with them at all times when they weren't accompanied by an adult. All of them were easily accessible. The kids that rode bikes always got there safely. We stress the importance of helmets and watching out for cars and looking both ways before crossing the street. As far as transportation to and from the sites, both sites were accessible through various forms of transportation. These forms included bikes, bus, Strive site supervisors, parent of the children, and all the transportation varies given each of the participants' distance from the site. There was one student who had to be picked up by a Strive site supervisor every single time that we did have a training session or a class. We had to have a site supervisor on hand to go pick him up because he was located over in the Monterey area. And then we also had a student over in the Seaside area who had to take the bus multiple times to get to the gym. This kind of makes it difficult when the kids can't make it to the location on time or miss the session entirely, because when they do show up late, they feel a little left out, feel a little left behind, and then when they miss the session entirely, especially with weight training, it can be kind of discouraging. So the parents of the children, they do their best to get the kids there on time too. When the kids don't have transportation from a site supervisor or they can't take an alternate form of transportation, we do really understand that most of these parents are working, and even though it is summer for the child, they still have busy schedules, so we tried not to rely on this form of transportation very often. When we take a look at the community of Marina, the city of Marina itself has a population of 21,229 people. Of this population, 52% is female, and the other 48% of the population is male. 45% of the population is white. 8% is black, 20% is Asian, 27% is Latino, and of these 21,229 residents, 82.5% have a high school GE, and 24.4% have a bachelor's degree or higher. And of this population, 63.8% make up the civilian labor force. When taking a look at the culture of the Marina community, 1/3 of the population in Marina is Latino, and most of the students that we worked with were Latino or African American. So given that the 1/3 of the population in Marina is Latino, there's a heavy presence of Latino culture. Specifically the food. There's a lot of Mexican food. Actually, there's a heavy Asian presence too, given the percentages of the population that we looked at, and you can kind of see that reflected in the food choices that are available as well. Marina is specifically Mexican food and Asian cuisine. When you're just driving through town, you'll see these restaurants all over the place. But back to the fact that it's predominantly a Latino culture, there is a heavy presence of that culture, and the students kind of communicated that with me too. Specifically when we looked at the diets that they were consuming, they kept asking me what foods to eat, what things to drink, just what kind of bodybuilding foods they need to be eating to nourish their bodies and make themselves grow, especially at the young age that they're at. And so we talked about how their culture sometimes limitates their dietary options. So, for example, they ate a lot of tortillas. Rice and beans weren't necessarily a bad one that we looked at, but cheese, sour cream is another one. Milk isn't generally a bad one because in Mexican culture, horchata is drank pretty commonly. But there's also lots of baked goods, and we also look at tortilla chips, and most of the snack foods that were consumed by the culture are quite fattening. So we help the students become aware of how some of their culture will influence their diet and how they can be careful of these things when practicing proper nutrition and proper diets in order to keep their bodies functioning on the level that they need it to. As we had mentioned, most of the students are athletes. Specifically soccer, most of the Latino students are soccer athletes, and that is also, given the culture, soccer has a heavy influence on their culture, just like football has a heavy influence on American culture. So we also explained how the work schedules were a big limiter of how much time we got with the students, and a lot of the students, specifically Latino students, were working in the fields during the summer to make some extra money. They were working with their family members, their fathers and cousins in the fields, and making some extra money over the summer rather than just hanging out, sitting around, because a lot of the students weren't participating in summer school. Some of the students were participating in summer school. That was through Marina High School, and so they would attend school, and those students, they participated much more regularly with us. They were participating with us during the week after they got done with summer school. One of the site supervisors would go over to the campus and pick up the students so they could come participate in the workouts at whatever site we were at. All right, so here with me I have the director of Strive, Ian Olden. And Ian, I just wanted to start by asking you kind of what the mission of Strive was, what your guys' goals and aims for the students are, and how you guys achieve those goals.
So the mission of Strive is really to surround young people with positive role models who are close within age and are doing things that kind of engage students like, oh, I can do that too. The whole vision is that we want students to be engaged in thinking about what they want to do with their future, understand that they can do anything, and explore inspiring those possibilities through different methods, whether it's basketball, recreation, writing, math and science, kind of whatever you can do to kind of like get that light to turn on. And that's kind of the very mission and vision of Strive.
Awesome. And then, Ian, in addition to your site, you said there's not really many other resources that you've seen that benefit the students' health and well-being. How do you think Strive is unique in that way?
So, Marina's a small city, and we also work in Seaside. The closest sports center is in Monterey. So when you look at youth, something that is always going to be attractive is playing sports, is going to be working out, things along that line. Well, the sports center is all the way in Monterey. If you're living in Marina and Seaside, going there is not always feasible. So Strive provides access to students using the CSUMB facilities, which they unfortunately cannot access because it's only exclusively for CSUMB. So through our partnership with CSUMB, we allow students to have that access. This means that during the day, students are surrounded by positive role models. They're working out something that they enjoy. And it's really kind of providing that service that doesn't really exist in the community, not from lack of effort, but just from lack of resources.
And what challenges do you see these students facing, and what disparities, inequalities, and stereotypes, if any, do you see the students facing on a daily basis?
So, Pebble Beach and Carmel are very wealthy areas, and Marina and Seaside are lesser economically developed areas. So students generally in these communities face less access to resources. The Monterey Sports Center costs money. If your parents are struggling or facing challenges, they might not have the extra money to put into there. If you're really interested in playing sports at the college level, you might not be able to afford a trainer. These are things that are economic challenges, and they vary in community to community, but generally great wealth also exists next to great poverty. And that could be the story, you could say, of Monterey County, as Carmel and Pebble Beach are very wealthy, beautiful areas, and Marina is not in a negative way, but some students in these areas do not have the economic resources to believe they can go to college, to believe they can afford college. So really how we confront these challenges is people who've gone through the same thing you've gone through people who have learned experiences and learned stuff that they can then pass on to you to improve you, and that changes a person's potential outcome.
All right, Ian. Well, it was great having you here today, and we hope to see Strive continue to grow and become a great success in the future. Oh, wait. Cited sources include the U.S. Census Bureau's Quick Facts on population of Marina, ethnicity of Marina, and other facts of Marina.